show rates, what do you do?
Of course we do the email. Of course we do the text message. Of course we do a multi-sequence that alternates the two so that no matter what their preferred platform is, they get frequent enough communication about the call, reminding them of the call, giving them the link for their convenience of the call. Of course we have appointment setters pre-calling, confirming the call, making sure they're qualified. All that though still gets us like a 60% show rate, which is quite poor, and it's very inefficient of sales reps' time. So what we do is we double book. We double book half the time. So it's really like a 1.5 booking, not like a double booking, but like 1.5. Every other call will have another appointment on there. What that allows them to do is if they do have a no-show, to potentially get on with the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you have two calls that are both 60% likely to show, the cumulative show rate, either one or both, is like 86% or so. So we can force an 86% show rate despite only having a 60% show rate.
Yeah.
Where we lose is if both people show up.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So really quickly, hey, I had something come up, emergency with my dog. Can I move you forward an hour? Because
And
the next hour is probably not double booked.
What's the success rate of that?
It's fine. It's difficult to measure. We also have a hot transfers channel. So we have a team of 10 plus closers now. The likelihood that if someone gets a double booking and someone else has an availability is very high. So instead of just throwing away the lead, we try to reschedule them later in the day. The appointment setters help with that. Or we have another person that got no-showed that can take it in the hot transfer Slack channel. And they're pretty quick with that.
Is there any thought around the tier that the close is in compared with like the lead that's... So you have a double booking, two people are there, that closer is say tier 1.
Yeah.
Would they know which lead to go to? Like, would they pick the better lead and then hand off the worst lead to the channel?
Absolutely.
And then that channel, let's say there were multiple people available, would it just be first come, first served? Or is it, oh, you're tier 1, you're going to get this one?
Yeah, it allows the more junior reps to talk to some of these bigger, more successful business owners and kind of like get a few early wins and get a taste of that. I would argue if we had a bigger sales team, if we had like 10 reps per tier, and it's like the lower tier, lower expected result leads had 10 reps, the medium expected result leads had 10 reps, and the high expected result leads all had 10 reps, then I would probably segment it into multiple different Slack channels for multiple different tiers. But because we only have 10 people selling, it's a free-for-all. But it's kind of fun. Like whenever someone gets a hot transfer and they close them, it's like, dude, I stole your lead and I closed them. It's the coolest thing ever.
Do you do anything with video or voice? Like on...
Oh, pre-call?
Yeah.
We've tested voice. It's very difficult. We operate at such a high volume, like we're literally throwing away 50% of our leads on double bookings, is essentially what I'm saying. And we can get so many leads on our sales team's calendar, like they're booked out the entire week. Most of the calls are double booked before the appointment setter can like DQ or pre-qualify them. That it doesn't even make sense to like spend all this extra time on a lead with a voice note or a custom video note when you've got like 20 more leads that you're potentially going to be talking to later in the day. Like if you're working a full 10-hour day, stack doubles on those leads, expecting like a 60% show rate, it's just going to be so much more efficient to like have a cup of coffee and relax for 10 minutes rather than to worry about sending a million customized video messages to people that won't show anyways. So we just take the volume approach. We have such good front-end marketing and such low relative cost per call in our industry that we can be super aggressive with and just wasteful with leads and not have to do all the fancy stuff that all the high-ticket closers are doing these days. That being said, like we're definitely leaving efficiency on the table. It's just how we choose to play the game, and we choose to be better at marketing, and so that's why we're less efficient on the sales side.
With the pre-call messages, are they coming from the closer, from the company?
All automated. We've tried custom ones, and we haven't noticed a substantial improvement in show rate. We have noticed a substantial decrease in like capacity though from the closer. So we've tested custom, we've tested automated, and if you can make the automated one feel a little custom, if you can send it in blue, if you can do like a triple instead of like a single one that looks like a wall of text that looks automated, it's like, hey, this is me from Viral Coach. Just a quick question, can you send me a link to your socials? Like, sounds super personable. It's way better than a single, and we've noticed like no drop in conversions from actually sending text.
I don't know if you do this, but something that I've seen is with those automated messages through like SendBlue or whatever it is, people that I've seen will intentionally spell people's names wrong in the automation and then correct it. So if it was like Daniel, they would add like a Z at the end in the automation and then correct it in the next sentence with your actual name. Like, sorry. It's a bit goofy, but I have assumed it was a real person before when that's happened until I realized that it wasn't.
We don't do anything that's like inherently deceptive like that. But I could see how that would work. Like, we never say it's not an automation, but at the same time, it looks pretty good.
Do you run any ads at all to anyone that's booked with the kind of like idea that you're nurturing them in some way?
That's a good thought. That's a good idea. It's possible with Facebook. Facebook will tell you it's possible. Facebook will give you like the data and the software, and it's potentially possible. That being said, it automatically does it for you. So it's not something that you have to like go into the back end of Meta and set up custom. And you can, but the efficacy of it is really not any better than someone who just like books a call and automatically gets retargeted by Facebook. Like, you probably have gone through, made a purchase from a company before, or like signed up for a sales call and then continue to get their ads, right? Like, automatically, it just happens because you engage with one, whether you signed up or not, you continue getting hit with ads. Like, Facebook automatically does that retargeting for you. That like consistent like pollution of your content on their feed because they express some kind of interest happens naturally. You don't have to double down and do like a special ad in addition to that to be able to retarget. Like, Facebook knows what your middle of funnel and top of funnel and bottom of funnel stuff does and like how audiences respond to it. So like, if they took substantial action on your ad, they're going to hit you with a bunch more middle of funnel stuff, knowing that it'll warm you up and create a better result.
Would you actually trust Facebook to do that like correctly? So let's say you were running specific ads that were, I don't know, the most common objection you get is an authority thing. So you made an ad that specifically targeted that objection somehow. Just for the hypothetical, you ran that with retargeting only booked calls. Would that not be superior to just allowing Facebook to do its thing?
You'd think so. And I'd have to check with my CMO. I'm pretty sure we tested this and we didn't notice a substantial lift in ROI from that specific like period in time in which we tested that.
Yeah. I did see a bunch of your ads like 2 months ago that were kind of that format where it was like an FAQ and then you answered it. Yeah,
we should do more of those. We're lacking on middle of funnel content right now.
Was that run to cold or warm or?
It was just wide targeting. We had them in ad sets to be able to like make sure that they got proper distribution. But it was pretty broad, and we just let Facebook do its thing. Yeah, like the actual like audience targeting, the tools are extremely limited on Facebook now, and the actual likelihood that you get distributed to that audience is quite low. It has really good contextual targeting though. So the words that you say get pushed out to the right people. If you say the word Alex Hormozi, you are going to have that ad pushed to everyone that consumes content from that content creator. If you say Grant Cardone, you're going to get hit. You're going to hit all the Grant Cardone people. So before, whereas you could like go in and like manually select interest-based targeting and like choose those people's names. You couldn't choose those specific ones, but like you could choose Russell Brunson. That has like no longer been a thing. And instead, just by saying Russell Brunson or having Russell's face on screen, Facebook recognizes what that collection of pixels are or like what that soundbite is, and then pushes it to those people. That's way more effective.
Yeah. Do you think it's smart enough to detect implicit meaning? So if you weren't saying specific words,
Give me an example.
so let's say you were talking about personal branding, but you didn't mention Hormozy, would it still show you to people that are interested in Hormozy?
Potentially, because there's a lot of overlap in interests.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about brand and advertising. So people that are highly interested in that particular niche of his content would also be interested in that niche of the ad.
But it wouldn't be able to like detect the implicit meaning. It would just make that association of brand and brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's all you need. Is like if
Yeah,
you're trying to target people interested in brand, they probably also watch Hormozy stuff. It's not like you need to go specifically after Hormozy and specifically after the people interested in brand that watch Hormozy.
Yeah, that's true. It probably doesn't matter. I was just wondering how clever Facebook actually is.
It's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
It's been listening to us for years.
Is there anything else that you're thinking of implementing that isn't there yet?
Yeah, percentage budgeting. So we realized we had a very successful ad that we've been scaling for like the last 2 years, and it's been just cranking. We've put over $2 million of ad spend behind this single ad. But what's weird is that whenever we pushed it over a certain budget, it would break. And that certain budget, that like break number would change. And I thought that was very interesting because it's like, we thought at first we could only push it to 3,000. And then the ad would break. It would stop delivering. It would stop, not delivering, but like it would stop having the result at the cost we needed. It would be like a $200 cost per call. We'd inch it up like an extra couple $100 per day in spend. And then suddenly it was like $1,000 cost per call. It's like, it wasn't working at all. It went from being completely correct, delivering great, to completely broken. Like no intermediary within a $500 lift, which was not a substantial price at the time. And what I realized is it wasn't actually about the dollar amount that we pushed that specific ad. It wasn't like this ad works at $3,000 to spend, but not at $4,000. But it was relative to how much spend that ad was getting in contrast to the entire account. So what spend is that ad getting as a percentage of our total spend? Specifically because that ad was a very bottom of funnel ad. It was one of the only bottom of funnel ads we ran. So bottom of funnel could get 15% of our total spend, or closer to 20%, depending on like what our top and middle of funnel content looked like. But it couldn't get 30% of our spend. So it's like that small change from 3,000 to 4,000. It's like, why is that breaking the ad? Well, it's because it's a 10% change in the total spend on our ad account. So if we're taking our bottom of funnel campaign from 15% to 25%, the whole thing breaks. While in the gross number, it doesn't feel like a lot. As a percentage of the total spend of the account, the bottom of funnel was getting way too much spend. And so we didn't have enough people in top or middle of funnel to convert with that bottom of funnel. We were like draining the swamp, if you think.
Yeah.
And that's why that ad was failing. So right now, one of the deficiencies we have on our marketing strategy is like understanding what percentage of our spend is going to top of funnel versus middle of funnel versus bottom of funnel content. What is prospecting for us? Kind of the first ad that people see, the first foot in the door that they get with our company. What is building trust, overcoming objections, nurturing the lead? And then what is actually giving them a pitch? We'll get you 1 million views or you don't pay. What spend are we allocating on each of those three? And how, like what percentage of spend is desirable or optimal for Facebook? We know roughly we can't spend more than 15-20% on bottom of funnel, but what do middle and top of funnel look like? And where are we deficient? Like how do we tell based on the data that we are too bottom heavy and that we have effectively drained the swamp? And like if we continue at all on bottom of funnel, we're not going to get good results across the entire account. How can we predict that? How do we know like what percentage we need to have so that when we do go create new ads, my CMO can tell me like I need 10 top of funnel, I need 5 middle of funnel, and we'll probably be good if we just get 2 bottom of funnel. Like what ratio of ads should we be making? And of course, It's great to make ads that are full funnel, that open with a really broad thing that is interesting to a lot of people, build a lot of trust through the middle, and are good enough to where they get to the very end, which is the hard pitch. Those ads are hard to make. Those ads are very rare. Whereas a full funnel marketing approach can be done just with individual creatives at each stage if you can properly measure things like through play, things like click-through rate, see how much it's getting people's attention for the first time, the frequency, so how many times they get hit with the ad,
Mhm.
what the cost per impression is. Something that's really cheap to deliver is going to be top of funnel. Something that maybe is expensive to deliver but converts really well is going to be bottom of funnel. Where are those metrics? Where are those KPIs for our ad account as a whole? And just like look at the data en masse, like as a data scientist, not even as an ad buyer or as a creative, and just understand what type of data is missing for us to do well.
Yeah. So in the ad account, do you actively mark things as top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel?
We're starting to both subjectively mark them as like, where do we think this ad falls?
Yeah.
But also tie them to data such as frequency and like cost to deliver one of those ads versus cost per result on the ad.
Okay. This is a bit of a hypothetical, but how would you know that something is actually an effective top of funnel ad? Because I'm going to assume those get worse KPIs in terms of ROAS or cost per call.
Yeah.
But they might be really efficient at building awareness.
Getting views. Yeah, so they're cheap to deliver.
But how would you know that the ad is actually useful for your entire ad funnel? Because something could be cheap to deliver because lots of people respond to it, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily nurturing people in any way or allowing people to convert through the rest of the funnel. Like you could just put like a meme on the hook of an ad and that would probably deliver cheaply. So how do you know that the ad is actually efficient?
Yeah, we were talking about this, something similar to this earlier today. One, you can look at the entire health of the account. But two, you can do like a micro incrementality study. Whereas like if you shut off all of the top of funnel ads, what you probably assume is that like within the next couple of days, the entire account is going to tank. And if you turn on the top of funnel ads, the entire health of the account is going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you really have to do is you have to spend like a couple hours or a couple of days turning off the top of funnel ads to be able to measure the impact and potentially turning them back on and measuring the change in progress if there is any. And then also you could do so without like risking your entire ad account for a couple of days, just adding more top of funnel creatives and seeing how that changes cost per call. How much cheaper does it get when you triple the total amount of top of funnel creatives and like really stack the deck full of new warm leads versus if you cut it down. So measurement of number of creatives and number of spend at each of those categories is why I think it's really important, is so that we understand like where we're at and how changes in allocation of spend impact the bottom line, which is like the resulting cost per call.
Yeah. So when people speak about win rate with an ad, they'll say like 5% of ads will actually be good and everything else is garbage. Is that like broadly true, or is that a misunderstanding of how the funnel actually operates? Because you could probably end up producing a bunch of top of funnel ads without the knowledge that they are top of funnel ads. They don't convert the way that you want compared with your bottom of funnel ads, and you miscategorize them as ineffective, and then you just get rid of them and you continue to make only bottom of funnel ads.
Yeah, I much prefer like a 20% win rate. I think like Pareto principle applies. It's like Fibonacci sequence, whatever. Like generally there's going to be 20% that do better.
Yep.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Most people don't recognize something as doing well because they're not paying attention to it in the right way. They're measuring it on a strength that it doesn't have. And they're very limited in their like ability to recognize winners. It's like looking at a fish and being like, this thing can't climb a tree, so it's never going to be a successful animal. Whereas like it could be a shark, right? And it could be absolutely killer of the ocean. It can swim really well. It can bite. It can be dangerous. But because it can't climb a tree, because you're ascribing like a different skill set that it doesn't have to it, you're not recognizing its significance or its potential.
Yeah.
That's why tracking data and just like not trusting your gut, not getting emotional with ads, I think is so important at a large level of scale. Mm-hmm. Because when you're small and you're only dealing with a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s a day in spend, it's really hard to screw it up. You do broad targeting, you send the ads in, as long as you're not a dummy with the creatives you made, Facebook will figure it out for you. But once you start having tens of thousands of dollars a day in spend, there's just way too much risk to any company to have it be an emotional decision to turn on or turn off an ad based on what you think the performance is. It really cannot be like this emotional decision, which for many media buyers it is. Yep. And instead it should rely on like data science to be able to drive those results. And transparently, it's really hard to tell subjectively And I would never make a subjective decision when it comes to something that can be objective with numbers. But it's really hard to tell when something is performing well or not, or when to turn it off, or how many more days to give it, if you're not looking at a multitude of different metrics to be able to back up that decision.
Yeah. I think that would be really interesting to hear what Ryan says about.
But I don't know how much he does on that.
I don't know. Well, maybe you'll just surprise him.
Yeah.
And he'll speak
Eddie would
to me.
know. Eddie would know for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think what's best practice on organic is also best practice on paid. And it's just like not enough people have realized it yet because not enough people are good enough at paid to have realized it. An hour-long podcast, super great idea. Like, yes, will people consume that on social media? Obviously. Putting it as an ad, genius.
Yeah.
We got to do a couple of those with our YouTube videos. Yeah.
Yeah.